Warning, this podcast contains spoilers and explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
Scaredy cat, have a scary chat. Scaredy cat with Rob and Ash.
Welcome back to Scaredy Cat. I'm Robbie.
I'm Ashley.
It's time to watch the third film in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series, Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
How many times are you going to say the name of the movie?
Oh, that's the first time to actually officially say the name.
Oh, okay. So you've been just like dropping hints.
No, but the whole official title is Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
We didn't do our intro, did we?
Yeah, I did it. It happened.
You didn't, though, because you didn't say this is the podcast where, which is what you always say.
I said this is a podcast where we watch another Leatherface movie.
But that's not what this is. This is someone's first time listening to this.
I don't think they'd start
They're
on
not
episode 3 of
Gonna
the...
know. What if the third iteration of Texas Chainsaw Massacre is their favorite film and they're like,
Did you just choke yourself? You shot the moon on that one. It's super important that you really choke yourself on that.
oh, that was pretty funny.
All right.
I feel like I'm dying right now. What's happening?
The year's 1990.
Oh, thank goodness. The 90s.
Leatherface has apparently moved to California because that's where this one's filmed.
Was it... But does it take place in California?
What's happening over there? Do you need rescued?
Did it take place in California? Or... Okay, I'm sorry. Did it take... All right, I'm fine.
I'm calling an ambulance.
Did it take place in California, or did they just film it in California?
I don't know because I haven't seen it.
Well, because I take issue with a lot of things, but with this production.
I don't think you're gonna make it.
Okay.
I think there's something wrong.
I take issue with a lot of... Okay. Okay. I take issue with a lot of different things. But if they're gonna call this Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they at least have to, like, be in Texas, don't they?
Well, they didn't call it Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, Leatherface.
They called it
excuse
Leatherface.
me. Is this the Matthew McConaughey one?
No. They
Fuck.
called it Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Does he just, like, rip out people's colons and wear them as hats?
He gets a hat in this one.
That's so adorable. I mean, it would be like a beret almost.
Have you ever heard of oh, I don't know if I can do that. It's probably a little racist. I'll just call it a necktie. Let's put it that way.
A Colombian necktie? Is that what you're talking about? Where, like, the Colombian mafia used to, like, take people's, what is it? Their,
tongue.
like, is it their tongue? And they pull it out through a slit in their neck?
Put a slit in your neck, and then you pull your tongue out, and you just leave it hanging like a necktie.
That's unpleasant.
I don't...
They could at least tie it and make it a bow tie.
I don't know if that's just something that, like, you know, white people scare each other with. Or if it really happened, but
I don't know.
it's in my brain. So.
I've never been to Colombia, and I don't wear neckties, so I can't help you.
So, what do you think this one's about?
Oh my god. So he's in California?
We don't know. We know it was filmed there, but we don't know if that's just like they thought it'd be cheaper, or
Why in the fuck's name would it be? Well, I guess.
we do know that there can't possibly be as Texas-y as the last one.
I don't think that's true. One thing that we know about people from Texas, right? I mean, being people from Texas,
Mm-hmm.
is that when you live there, I mean, Texas is fine. But when you move out of Texas,
Suddenly you get super Texas-y.
suddenly Texas becomes the greatest state in the union.
You buy all the Texas things.
You buy Texas placemats.
You have been known to paint your wall to be
As
the
a
Texas
Texas
flag.
You have a Texas flag on your front porch. You have Texas seat covers in your car.
You'll put spurs in your bathroom.
You refuse to get license plates from your new state because you don't want to give up your Texas plates.
Every conversation you have with anybody begins with, "Well, I'm from Texas, so."
And you're really snobby about local barbecue and
How rude people are.
And
other places.
and yes, and you're always commenting about how rude people are
Yes.
compared to people from Texas. And you're constantly talking about how much better Texas is than whatever place you are in. This is true, and I know this to be true because I am guilty of several of the things on this list, minus the home decor situation.
I beg to differ.
We have one Texas thing in our house.
We have one giant fucking Texas
and we did
hanging
not
on our wall.
purchase that for ourselves.
But we put
was
it on our wall.
bought for us. You put it on the wall. I did not. And I have a tattoo of Texas.
You do have a tattoo of Texas on your foot.
But there is a grand possibility that this could be 100 times more Texas-y because it is now out of the great state of Texas.
It'll be interesting to see if that's what this movie is. Just the family going around complaining about how rude everybody else is that they're trying to eat.
And it's true. It's true. People are fucking rude. And we experienced this, right? Because we live in New Jersey. We've lived here for almost 2 years now. And we've lived outside of Texas for 8 years.
Way outside Texas.
Right. People just talk to you differently here than they do in other places that we've lived. So when we went home a month ago, we crossed the border, right? So we crossed the border into Texas. We were eating dinner at a Taco Bueno.
Right on the border.
Right on the border, on the Texas side of Texarkana, ordering food, and people were talking to us, like striking up conversations with us, talking to us about our son, like, because he'd been in the car for a long time, so he's a little bit nutsy, and he was, like, kung fu fighting with everybody inside the restaurant, and so the lady was like, whoo, you need to get that boy into some space so he can run around, and she was telling us about her sons, and, like, just nice people. And then we're like, that's kind of weird, and then we sat down and we were eating, and you were looking at me making a really weird face, and I was like, what's wrong with you? And you were like...
Diarrhea. I guess we're at Taco Bueno.
No, you said, people just keep smiling at me. I don't know what's wrong.
Yes.
And
true.
it's because people are just nicer there. They just fucking are. Yeah, there are people in Texas that are shitty and jerks. But for the most part, people in Texas will stop their fucking day to say hello to you.
Yeah,
People in New Jersey will tell you to go fuck yourself if you smile at them. That's not true. Nobody's ever done that. But they look at you like you're a psycho killer. Like you're trying to abduct them. If you smile at someone. Either that or they think you're hitting on them and they follow you back to your fucking car. So, like, which happens in Texas also. But, for...
Where are you going with
I
this?
don't know. I can't remember. Oh, it's not in Texas.
Oh, that's
It
right. So
could
this
possibly be in California.
is Nene Macaw or...
No, everybody from the original 2 has died.
Well, they have to have a character arc in this one because this is the last of the original series.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. Next, we go into like a kind of soft reboot, which is the Matthew McConaughey one.
I'm so excited about
And
that.
then we go into a complete reboot.
Have I mentioned how much I love evil Matthew McConaughey?
Yes.
That's amazing.
But apparently nobody else did because the Dark Tower bombed.
Well, that's
It
not
didn't bomb. I mean,
that's not his fault.
it took first place, but it just... I
I'm
don't
sure
think it-
Matthew McConaughey was the best part of that entire film.
Yeah, nobody likes
Per
it.
usual.
Anyway,
All right.
so Nene Macaw and
Batman?
Samson. We need a finality to them. Just real quick.
So, Nene McCon and Samson have been listening to a lot of Led Zeppelin going to California.
Okay.
And they decide that Dallas just didn't do it for them anymore. And they want to leave. So they get into Samson's truck. They pack up all of his mama suits and all of Nene's
macaws.
heels and plastic skirts. And they put them all in the back of the truck. Which is dumb because they're all going to fly out.
Right.
And then they take off towards California. They make it. They're fine. Uneventful trip. We montage through the whole thing. They get gas in the desert. They eat a guy. It's adorable. So they stop in Las Vegas and they're like, oh my God, let's get married. And so Nene McCaw puts on her very best, like mesh top.
No, mesh tops in the 90s were a guy thing.
Were they?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, then she puts on her very best 90s attire. I have
Like-
no idea what women wore in the early 90s.
Maybe Samson is wearing... Leatherface is wearing the mesh top.
He's wearing a mesh top, but he's wearing, like, mama pants.
Okay.
And his very best mama mask.
Right.
With the eyelashes very
all
delicately
dolled up.
sewn in.
Yeah.
And he does Nene's makeup for her. And so they go get married. Elvis marries them. It's very cute.
Then
We
they
throw
eat
rice.
Elvis afterwards. He is the cake.
Yep. He ate way too many fried peanut butter and banana sandwiches, and so he was delicious.
Yeah.
They get to California. They realize it's very expensive. The food is bad. People are rude.
There is no good Mexican food.
There is no good Mexican food outside of the state of Texas. Mexico doesn't even do it as well as we do. And by the way, Taco Bell does not count as Mexican
No,
food.
it doesn't.
It just doesn't. Neither does Chipotle. Neither does Qdoba. That's not Mexican food. It's just not. It's just not.
Okay. So what happens with Nene McCaw and Samson?
Well, because there's no decent Mexican food in Northern California, because I feel like parts of California probably do have decent Mexican food because of the large, like, Hispanic population
Right, yeah.
in that state. But this is the 90s, so I really don't know what was happening. I was a child.
They get jobs.
Yeah.
They become actors and actress.
No, he's
Wants
in
to be-
in front of the Chinese theater. He is Spider-Man. So anyway, so they're doing good. They're breaking out of the life. They don't want to be cannibals or murderers anymore. And then one day, a fucking bat shows up
With Batman.
with Batman. And
He's found
he's
him.
real fucking pissed about what happened to his little bat buddy. And he finds Nene first, and which is shocking because the bat didn't even know who Nene was. But Batman is the world's greatest detective.
Right.
Even though he's a little slow because what's his name? Arthur? His butler? Albert?
Alfred.
Alfred! Alfie has died of dysentery. So, recap. Batman's all fucked up.
Yeah.
He's dirty. He's got Cheerios in his car.
He hasn't cleaned the bat suit in like months.
He's got, like, bedhead for days.
He's also been going commando because he has no clean underwear.
Because he's run out of underwear, yeah.
So he's got all chafing issues.
Yeah, can you imagine
Like,
being in that
imagine-
plastic leather suit? With,
Imagine Batman coming
Oh.
after you, but like he's being
And this is-
real careful in
and
his
this
steps.
is 90s Batman, so this is like Tim Burton Batman.
Yeah.
So we're talking Michael Caine.
You can't even move.
Michael Caine?
Michael Caine. No, you're talking about Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton. There's too many Michaels in my head. So,
What are the Michaels you got in there?
I'll tell you later.
I just realized there are no attractive Michaels right now in the acting world right now.
No, because they're all named like Shia.
La Bamba? Or are you gonna say La Bamba? All them La Bambas out there taking the credit.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. So, anyways, no. So he's all upset, and so he kidnaps Nene, and he writes a ransom letter, leaves it in their apartment. Samson comes back, and he does the whole where he drops down to his knees, and the camera pans out to the ceiling, and he's like, no! And then Samson finds Batman and Nene and the Bat.
At the laundromat where it's, his monthly wash.
He's got to do laundry.
So he's naked, standing there in front of the laundromat,
Well,
which
I mean,
is freaking everybody out.
But it's California, so, maybe not.
I think that probably still freak Californians out.
I don't know. I just don't know.
Anyway.
Naked Batman fights Samson, and he murders him. And Samson's dead. And then he kills Nene, and then he kills the Bat just for fun. And then Batman,
he's taken the mantle.
And then he eats them all, and then he puts on Leatherface's mask, or his mama mask,
right.
And then he becomes Samson. So he walks out of the laundromat in his Batman boots and the mama mask and nothing else. And then he just walks off into the sunset. The end.
I like it. We'll find out if that happens.
I feel like that is all going to happen.
Real quick, I needed to mention this. I forgot to mention at the beginning. So this is a first for us. This is a film that we did not find in any kind of streaming method.
Yeah, fuck this shit. We had to order it.
Some of us, waited till the last minute thinking, hey...
Some of us who are in charge of procuring the film.
It's the night that we should do this. Let's go ahead and find it. And then it was like, oh, it's only available on DVD, so I have to buy it and wait. So, depending on when you're hearing this is when we got it.
Yay, it took a minute. We've been called around to video rental stores today.
I didn't even realize we had around us.
There are 2 in New Jersey.
2 within a 50-mile radius.
Yeah, which we're not going to drive.
So, this is the first time we've ever had to actually physically insert something to watch the movie.
That's an interesting way to put that.
I think it's the best way. It's the most appropriate way to put it.
We have to insert something.
This is an insertion.
All right.
So, we're going to watch it, and we'll get back to you.
Bye!
All right, we're back.
And we're back from outer space.
Or just a short break while watching the movie.
That's fine, too.
We watched Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
We surely did.
First off...
I have 4 pages of notes. I'm just going to let you know right off the bat.
Canon, the company that was, leading the charge.
Canon, like the cameras?
We did this last time.
Did we?
Canon, no, the 3D logo that shoots out at you.
Right.
Yeah, we had the same conversation.
Oh, well, excuse me.
But Canon doesn't have the rights anymore. They gave it to New Line. Which, is New Line still around?
I don't know.
Anyway, they were big for, the Friday the 13th series, and they were looking for something because Friday the 13th was wrapping up. So they figured they could turn Leatherface into their new Freddy. I don't think Leatherface really translates well into, the serial killer horror film.
No, I don't think so either. He's
Well, he's always just a member of the family.
Right. Yeah, he's not the main character by a long shot. He's not.
And they keep trying to make these films about only him, but then they keep relying on everybody else to really give you...
Because there's only so much you can do with a mute, masked man.
Jason Voorhees. Halloween, you've got Michael Myers. Doesn't say anything through the entire series.
But there's a lot of exposition by other characters in... to tell you the story.
Well, we get a montage in the intro.
Yes.
Of him putting together his mask.
It's fucking a school art project. He's using scissors to cut skin.
And the sound effects are pretty gross.
Yeah, that was real nasty.
And it's got close-up shots.
I had a really hard time watching the beginning of this film.
What happened in Charlottesville just happened. And we were dealing with that at the same time that we were signing up to watch this movie. You said that you were hoping this wasn't violent and bloody because you didn't know if you could handle it.
Right. Luckily, like 21-year-old Viggo Mortensen is in it.
And it's really not that violent.
It's not. It's really not. And they pull away from all the gore, which I'm 100% okay with. It was just in the very beginning when he was cutting up skin.
So we start off following Michelle and Ryan, who I thought were brother and sister.
They
You
were
thought
definitely a couple.
were a boinking. And
I didn't say boinking.
I think it's possible they could be both.
I mean, anything's possible.
So
but
they're
I feel like they were definitely together.
So
not brother and sister.
so they're from California,
Yes, from California. Mhm.
and they're traveling through Texas,
Right.
and they hit an armadillo
To get to Florida?
from one coast to the other. And what a god awful drive!
Oh, it sounds miserable.
We've made the Florida to Texas trip. It's not fun.
Well, we were in Tampa, and so it's 6 hours just to get up to like the Panhandle.
Yes, and it's the most boring 6 hours you will ever experience, ever.
It's nothing but abortion billboards and
Well, they make it fun.
nothingness.
Those billboards make it fun. They have fingernails.
Fuck fingernails.
God
Who
loves
gives
the
a
babies.
fuck about fingernails?
My favorites are the ones that just say Jesus in big block letters, and that's it. Which must be hilarious for guys who are named Jesus. It's just like, hey, Jesus, you're up there.
It's me.
It's a me board. We get a pretty generic soundtrack for this one,
Yeah, this was like Apple Loops type shit before Apple Loops was this thing.
They come across the Last Chance gas station or whatever it was called. I can't remember.
I thought you wrote it down.
I thought I did too. That's why I had to restart because I don't have it written down. So at the gas station, they meet creepy new Sawyer.
Yeah.
His
We
name
didn't
is.
ever really learn who was who.
Yeah, you do. They at random points they'll call each other by name or they'll say their own name. In Alfredo's case, he says his own name. Alfredo has a glass eye.
His name is Alfredo.
Alfredo. He says
my
it when
God.
he's in the forest, hunting them down. He's like, Alfredo, do this. Alfredo, do that. But he's the gas station attendant because we find out in the crawl that EC, or the cook from the first two series, has died in the electric chair.
Gas
chamber. They gassed him.
They gassed him.
They gassed him.
Which seems harsh. There are more... I don't believe in the death penalty at all in any way. But it seems like if you're going to murder someone, there are more humane ways to do it than to gas them to death.
Well, I don't think we gas him anymore.
I know we don't, but it's such a weird thing to think. And this wasn't that long ago. This movie wasn't made that long ago.
I think this one came out in 1990.
Yeah. So, it's just...
I hope I'm right about that because I don't have it on hand.
Because it's just so strange, to think that someone would have been gassed to death by the government.
Sally died in 1977, and they did not mention it in the last movie.
How did she die?
They said she died in a institution.
I
So
could
she went cray-cray.
See having to go to an institution after all of that.
Yeah, and she died. So I noticed a problem with their Leatherface.
What is the problem with their Leatherface?
Their version of Leatherface has a knee brace that makes a squeaky sound.
Yeah. It's kind of like a warning.
Yeah, it's like the da-dum from Jaws. It's just
Yeah.
like squeak, 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 squeak.
Like some WD-40 would just cure this whole mess.
But the problem with the Leatherface is that it's not the same dude, and you could tell because he moves in a different way. Like when he slams the metal door, let's say, whatever the thing was that he slams,
Yeah.
the way he does it is so frenetic. It's so frantic. It's just he's in one swift move. He just runs up and slams it.
Yeah.
They have the same exact scene in this where he slams the door, but it's like he's just like, okay, I'll grab this door and I'll slam it.
Well, everything about this movie felt less intense.
Yes, it felt like they were just. It felt like this was dress rehearsal.
Don't get me wrong. I liked this movie. It was fine. But the first one was just so, raw and, guttural that this one just kind of falls a little bit flat in the, intensity department.
I will say the character writing on the family was pretty good.
Yeah, I loved it.
and they all had very interesting little quirks to 'em.
lives, yeah. And nobody was like nobody was two-dimensional. Everybody was pretty well-rounded.
They also reformed the family.
Yeah.
Everybody's different.
Yeah. Well,
You-
except Grandpa.
Yeah, you got EC's gone. He died in the gas chamber.
Right.
The hitchhiker's gone. Chrome Dome is gone, or Chop Top is gone. However, you have a character that kind of like nods to Chop Top with when he scratches his head with
Right.
his claw.
And you have a character that nods to EH or whatever.
EC.
EC?
Yeah. So Alfredo is the gas station attendant,
Yes.
and he's creepy as fuck.
yeah.
He is the first character in any of these films to get sexual.
Yes, yeah, we talked about this
Yeah.
a little bit while we were watching it, and that's one thing that I really appreciated about the first two was that it didn't feel like there was like a rape element
Right. They
to
wanted
the
meat.
films.
They were
Yeah,
cannibals.
they weren't interested in fucking these people. They were interested in eating them. You know, I mean, even cannibals have morals, right? So, like, in this one, it got a little rapey from time to time. Like,
Not
nothing
just-
ever happened.
That's not necessarily true.
Is not?
Because Junior has had children with some of the victims.
True.
They have a little girl who's in the family.
I take back what I just said. Because in the previous movie, Leatherface puts his chainsaw into Slim's vagina.
Yes, but that was all entendre. This one, he's just literally saying sexual things to her.
Well, he's not.
Right. Junior's not. But Junior doesn't get that sexual with her this time either.
Right. It's just
It's just
other-
Alfredo.
yeah.
Alfredo is our sexual character.
Right.
He's obsessed with sex, I guess.
Okay, so we first meet Alfredo. We come up to the gas station, and he is
Has a glass eye.
perpetrating one of your childhood favorite pastimes.
he's doing the all-time favorite Texas pastime of cutting naked women out of magazines.
Yeah.
Oh, back up a second. So before they get to the gas station, Tex gets to the gas station.
Tex is a young, attractive Viggo Mortensen.
He's hitchhiking, which I'm sure is a homage to the hitchhiker from the first film.
Mhm.
But he's hitchhiking and he gets dropped off at the gas station.
Well, that's what, whenever he got out of that truck, we were both like, oh my god, is he the hitchhiker?
Yeah,
Like Viggo?
but they're trying to play it like they're not related.
Right. They're pretending.
Right, our couple shows up and he saves her from an interaction with Alfredo. And then she's in the bathroom. Alfredo has a peephole because of course he does.
Right. Because he's peeping on the ladies while they pee-pee.
But his peephole only shows her face.
Yeah. Well, it's a respectful peephole.
A respect hole.
He doesn't want to see your bits. He just wants to see your beautiful face.
Which is true of all peepers.
That's not true.
I'm gonna go ahead and go out on a limb and
Have
say
you
that.
ever peeped on anyone?
Never. I don't know that I've ever had the opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a point in my adolescence that I probably would have taken that opportunity,
Hmm.
but I never was presented with it. Have you ever peeped on anyone? Did you peep on somebody?
I don't think.
Are you a peeper?
I don't think so.
You've been peeping?
I mean, I peep on you pretty constantly.
We don't peep. We just are.
I don't think so. I don't feel like that's something that I would do. I'm too paranoid. I'm too paranoid to peep because
You're a paranoid peeper?
I would be.
You're peep paranoid.
I would just be a nervous wreck. Like, who saw me? Like, if I'm driving home from work or something and I'm in my car by myself with no one else in the car and I, like, sing along with the radio or whatever, I, like, get, like, shifty for a second. It's like, is there someone in the back of my car listening to me sing? Like, that's how paranoid I am. So I don't think that I would be a good peep.
So they drive off. We have kind of an homage to the second film where you have a truck that's following along behind them, and they turn on the lights, And I'm glad they do because they chose not to light this film in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it's very, very dark. There's some scenes where you just sort of have to, like, imagine what's happening because it's almost pitch black.
So then we meet Benny.
Which I, honest to God, thought his name was Vinny with a V. So all through my notes, he's either the Good Samaritan before I figured out what his name was, or Vinny after I thought I had figured out what his name was.
Well, by checking after you mentioned that you thought it was Vinny and you argued with me for about 30 minutes, I looked at the credits and yes, it is in fact Benny.
Well, fine.
But this is a weird thing for this movie. We keep adding characters.
Yeah,
And not that many die.
right.
There's really only one death other than the chick that was already in the woods.
Right.
There's only one death of the people that we meet.
They're slacking.
Well, it's so weird.
Wait, who dies?
So remember the girl that was watching Leatherface at the window?
Yeah.
She's in the woods with them. And
we find out through her that they do this a lot. That the family watches the road, then they hunt people. She was the last member of her traveling group that was still alive. And it sounds like she had been hiding in the woods and they had been hunting her for the past week, is what she said. And she was a little off her nut.
but we meet Benny because the couple is on the run. They've been being chased by this truck and they popped a tire.
Yeah.
They stop to change the tire and Leatherface gets at him. He's got his big chainsaw, and he actually like does a superhuman feat of strength and grabs their trunk and rips it off.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
So
I didn't know that
we've-
trunks worked like that.
We've added super strength to the Leatherface list.
Yeah. Super strength and a weird knee brace.
Yes, which makes him kind of like Forrest Gump.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
But they get away again, which is, I hate when movies do this. Like they have this big setup where they have to break down and they have to like get their tire and everything.
Right.
And then just a weak payoff, and then they get back on the road, and then we're back where we started.
Yeah.
But then they have Benny, who's driving a Jeep. They veer off the road to avoid each other.
Yeah.
Even though it's done in like an awkward,
Oh, go ahead.
doesn't really make a lot of sense way.
At what point does someone throw a coyote on the front of their car?
That's when the truck's chasing them.
Okay.
That's their scare technique.
And did you notice that the armadillo that she hit in the beginning of the movie and the coyote that was thrown on the roof of their car all had a tag in their
On
ear?
the ear. Yeah, and you mentioned that it was like the same. Well, we'll get
Yeah,
there.
we'll get there.
They meet up with Benny, who is a survivalist.
He's a prepper?
Yes, he's a prepper before preppers were a thing.
Yep. But to be fair, though, in Texas, which I know this wasn't in Texas, but that's a thing that happens. Like, my dad did stuff like that whenever I was a kid.
Since we mentioned this, I was going to bring up the fact that other than them saying one time that they are in Texas, they don't mention Texas at all.
No, this is the opposite of the previous movie where they were smacking you in the nards with the fact that they were in Texas.
And he's named Tex. Other than that,
In the beginning, they talk about, the fact that they're driving through Texas
Right.
to get to Florida. But the only other time that it really comes up is when Tex asks Michelle how she's enjoying Texas.
Yeah, in a very ironic way.
Yeah, and that's it. That's really it.
So they meet up with Benny. Benny gets them out of their car because and this is another thing I hate. They've been in a car wreck, but they'll be fine in 5 minutes.
Oh, right. They fucking careen off the side of a goddamn cliff, and they land upside the fuck down, but he's totally fine. He gets out of the
Do you
car
mean
completely
upside
fine.
down, or do you mean like upside the fuck down?
Both.
Okay, just checking.
Both things. They're upside down, and he's completely fine. He gets out of the car. What's his fucking name?
Benny.
Ryan.
And
Michelle.
Michelle
Is unconscious for a few minutes, and then
snaps out of it with no problems.
Benny,
Benny.
helps her get out of the car, and he starts, she's unconscious, so they drag her away from the car and, lay her down, let her chill. And then he's he's like helping Ryan. He's got like a big first aid kit in his car. You can tell he's done this before. He's patching everybody up.
So Benny gets in a hand-to-hand fight with Leatherface. And
Right.
the only
Even
way
though Leatherface has a goddamn chainsaw.
the only way that Leatherface survives this encounter is because he has a James Bond style mini like router in his pocket.
Yeah, he's got a teeny tiny circular saw.
That is attached
in
to his
pocket.
wrist or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, just like chilling in his pocket.
So
He turns it on and he cuts the back of Benny's leg.
which will be fine in 5 seconds.
Right, no issues.
So he's about to kill.
He could have gone down 4 inches and cut his Achilles tendon and then had dinner.
Yeah.
This is why school is so important.
This is what happens when you homeschool.
I feel like these children or these men were all homeschooled.
I feel like this movie is a critique of homeschool.
I agree.
100%.
100%.
So
But if you homeschool your kids or if you were homeschooled, you're fine. You're a very smart person. Everything's fine.
so he's got Benny over the barrel.
Yep.
He's got his chainsaw over his head.
Right.
He's bearing down on him.
Yep.
And
Gonna kill him so
our-
we can eat him.
Our mystery lady in the woods, not in the water, 'cause that was a terrible movie.
It's the worst.
She calls out and she's like, "Hey, you're after me, not him." And instead of just go ahead and finishing his downward stroke,
Yep.
Leatherface turns off the chainsaw and takes off after her.
ADD. The boy's got ADD.
Why? Why
Yeah.
wouldn't he just, hey, I'll just go and take care of this problem real quick and then come after you?
Right. Killed 2 people with 1 chainsaw.
But Benny gets away. She meets up with Benny. She explains to him what's going on. She gives him a lot of exposition. You find out that her family got killed. We talked about that already.
Right.
But
She's the only person left from her traveling party.
almost immediately after that, Leatherface gets a hold of the lady in the woods.
Right.
And he stabs her. This is when you start
he
noticing...
stabs her with the chainsaw.
Right.
Which is not how chainsaws work.
This is when you start noticing that there's a lack of emotion behind anybody's reactions.
Oh, you just noticed that?
Well, it's really the first time that somebody has to, like, really react to something.
I guess.
So as she's getting stabbed, it almost looks like she's really just looking off into the woods.
I don't know. The
Trying to
whole
spot
time,
something.
the whole time that like they were being chased in the car by Leatherface, Michelle was just like asking questions. She
Yep.
was like, "Is he behind
That's
us?"
true.
And then like Ryan wouldn't respond. And
Well, he's
then
in the
she-
back. He's in the back doing the chicken dance. It's like, let's go, go, go.
But she would ask, and he wouldn't respond, and then she'd just not ask again. If I asked you if a masked madman with a chainsaw was still following us, and you didn't fucking answer me, there would be things.
There would be words.
I would ask you again.
More forcefully the second time. Ryan doesn't make it out of the woods.
So Michelle runs away and finds a house, which
Thank God.
fucking stupid. These are the only people in these woods. What would make you think that that is not their house?
Also, all the booby traps were around this house.
She narrowly avoided a fucking bear trap.
Yes, and what got Ryan was a bear trap.
And then Leatherface killed him.
I was happy to see the house because from the outside, it's the most well-lit thing out there.
True.
It had lights on.
It's
It
not
looked
gonna
so
be dark.
warm and inviting, and you could see things going on.
Well, wasn't there a reason that they kept the film so dark?
Yes. So, it was filmed in California. They wanted to make it look like Texas, but at the time, California was on fire. It literally had one of the worst forest fires going on in California in the 90s. So, they kept it dark so you couldn't see the charred trees or the literal fires going on behind it.
Yeah.
So, there are scenes where the forest is on fire behind them, and so they are purposefully making it dark so you cannot see that.
Well, they did a real good job because you couldn't see a thing.
Yeah, I mean, you had to infer most of the movie. It was
Yeah.
basically like listening to a movie.
It was pretty intense.
So she gets in the house and she meets up with what is, in another strange occurrence, a female character in the Sawyer house.
A child
A female child in the Sawyer house.
with a real creepy doll.
Yes, which should have been her first clue.
Yeah, I mean,
She's like, hey, let's get out of here.
the kid is very dirty.
I'm going to call CPS. We'll get you some help.
The kid's real dirty. She's got a doll with a skull head, and she like starts crying and runs away up the stairs, which is leading you to your doom. Does she stab her with a bone, or does she
With a bone.
Oh, that's so unsanitary.
So unsanitary. I was like, you now have the herpes.
Scabies,
You've got
fucking
spinal meningitis now.
diphtheria,
You might as
all
well
of
call
it.
poison control. Let them know you're coming in for tests.
chicken pox. Set yourself on fire at this point. You have everything.
You're not making out of this.
You had the clap.
You got chlamydia.
VD.
Chlamydia's coming home with you today.
You have gonorrhea
Oh,
for days.
Jesus Christ. A bone.
So
That's
nasty.
one stone cold killer girl.
And I feel like any family that just leaves bones laying around the floor of the upstairs of their house probably does not clean those bones real well. So you've got whatever sort of blood disease the last person had.
Right. So,
Anemia. She caught anemia just now.
while she's recovering from the shock of being stabbed by what looks to be maybe a 12-year-old girl,
We get Viggo back.
Tex grabs her, which is our big surprise that he was with the house the whole time.
Fucking no. So she's nailed to a chair,
Uh-huh.
and then we meet Mama.
Oh, yes, we meet Mama.
Mama is
Mama's
in a wheelchair.
alive in this movie.
Yep.
She-
She's not even that old.
In fact, this movie is so balanced with like female and male characters. It's
I
ridiculous.
actually love the family dynamic
Mhm.
in this particular film because you like every single character. Like, even the people that are supposed to be bad, that's why it's so hard to like root for anybody, because you like all of them. Like, I actually liked the family more than I liked Ryan and Michelle.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because
I
they
think
were-
I think that's probably why they added Benny.
They were charismatic.
I think they added Benny because they got stuck with Ryan and Michelle, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, these guys suck.
Ryan and Michelle were putrid little assholes.
Yeah.
They were self-important dicks. And then this family, while cannibalistic and murderers. And we get an allusion to like I'm sorry. I said a lot of words that didn't mean anything. We get the idea from Mama that perhaps Leatherface is a little bit of a rapist. But even still, barring all of those things, you still like the family more than you like Ryan and Michelle. Because they're just tacky. They're just tacky. So Mama's got one of those, she's in a wheelchair and she's got one of those voice box thingies, you know what I'm talking about? That you press down on so that you can talk. We also have Grandpa back, the same Grandpa, I think, from the first two films. He looks exactly the same, a little worse for the wear. He's got a lot of blood on him. Nobody's helping him clean. The man obviously can't help himself.
Right. Well, I don't think Grandpa's alive in this one.
You don't think so?
No.
Well, true.
Yeah, he's straight up dead. And that's the thing. Like in the other two movies, Grandpa has looked dead, but whenever he gets the blood, he like he miraculously comes to life.
Yeah.
In this one, he's like basically a pile of dust.
Yeah, he does look like a paper mache project.
Yeah. And when he gets his face blowed off,
Yeah, you're right. He does disintegrate. So that does make sense.
however, it does lead to the best line of the entire movie,
Please do it.
given by the little girl.
Yeah.
She's like, "Why are you doing this to me?"
When they're nailing her hands to the
right,
chair.
and the little girl's walking by, and she says, "If you don't stick them, they don't leak," or something like that, or something along those
They
lines.
don't leak, yeah.
And the way she says it is just so hilarious with her little doll in her hands.
And she's adorable.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a cannibal too. But it's not really her fault.
Right. So Tex and we meet Tank. Tank is another character, is another family member. I think he's supposed to be the Chrome. I think he's supposed to be.
He has a hook hand.
He has a hook hand.
And he has the same ear tag that the animals were wearing.
Right.
In the armadillo and the coyote.
Hank is Chop Top. He's Chop Top-ish. And the first time you meet him, he actually uses that claw to scrape his head the same way that Chop Top would do.
The family just felt like less demented in this movie.
They did. They felt less demented,
functional. But at one point, Benny asks Tex why they're doing this. And Tex says, "We're hungry."
Yes, that is a great line.
And I loved it because it was just pure and simple. Like, they didn't hate these people. They weren't mad at them. They were just hungry. The same way you would hunt a deer or a hog or whatever you're into. You're just hungry.
But they do have some family problems. Tank and Junior fight a lot.
Yep.
So much so that Tank feels like when Junior is playing with
Junior is Leatherface, by the way.
Right. He was Bubba in the last film.
Yeah, now he's Junior.
Now he's Junior. But he found a cassette player, and he's got headphones on, and he forces Michelle to listen to his headphones against her will, which to me would be like, hey, at least I don't have to hear them talking about killing me.
Yeah.
But she's upset by this. So Tank takes the cassette player, or at least the tape, and he throws it in the fireplace.
The whole cassette player.
Or he throws it in the oven. Yeah, he throws it in the oven. And then Leatherface makes him get it out with his good hand.
Yeah, it makes him reach through the fire to get the Walkman out.
So they have the little antics going on in their family.
But brothers.
Yeah, what you gonna do?
Brothers they fight sometimes.
They burn each other.
Yeah,
horribly scar each
fine.
other. And I'm guessing that's how he lost his hand.
But we find out that he also got Junior a gift.
Yes. He presents him with a no shit, in real life, 80-pound chainsaw.
Fuck, it was really 80 pounds?
It was 80 pounds.
That seems very impractical
It is
for murder purposes.
It is a giant, chromed up, futuristic chainsaw.
Futuristic.
With the words, "The saw is family" written across it. Ridiculously heavy.
That's
so
real dumb.
they actually had to create 2 additional ones that were all plastic so that he could actually run with it.
That's so stupid. He would have had to have... I almost said something terrible. He would have to have been so strong.
I know what you were gonna say. I'm not gonna say it, but I was thinking it. Ryan doesn't make it, unfortunately.
Well, Ryan, he's hanging upside down.
He is still alive.
He's blinking.
But they do kill him.
They set up some sort of what's that thing? What's that kind of machine called? Where
an auto kill,
no.
a head pinger.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Something to knock him in the head and kill him.
Yep.
But again, they cut away before you see anything. They do come back with him going through death throes a little bit, like a cow would after it gets slaughtered.
Well, because they
gross.
talk in the beginning about the slaughterhouse up the road, blah blah blah. So that's still an element in this film.
Right.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you think this is supposed to be the same Leatherface, or is Leatherface turned into 007, where it's a different one every time?
Well, I'm telling you, he's got a cue. He's got the little pocket circular saw.
Yeah.
And he's got a brace.
So
maybe it's not so much a brace as it is a flying mechanism.
So this is Texas's version of James Bond.
Dun dun Leatherface. Squeak, 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 squeakity, squeak, squeakity, squeak.
See, this is fine. All he needs is a Bond girl now, or a Leatherface girl.
Well, apparently he had one because the kid you find out is his.
Right, it's his daughter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
little girls,
Yeah.
and Mama does say it was a victim, and that she had to cut her out.
Oh, is that what she said?
Yeah, it's pretty
Oh,
gross.
I missed that part. That's sad.
Mama's just all up gross in this film. So,
But in a nurturing kind of way.
but she's about to check out for good
True.
because Benny's been watching this whole thing from outside.
And Benny's real
And
fucking
Benny
pissed.
has got a machine gun. He's at the window, and he just starts indiscriminately firing into this room.
Yes. Which seems really stupid.
Yeah, Michelle is sitting in.
Yeah. But fuck Michelle. Fuck Michelle.
But Michelle gets uber strength and pulls herself off this chair that she's nailed to.
I don't really think they addressed that enough. The fact that she must have pulled her hands free of nails.
Right. And again, you would expect some kind of excruciating pain. No,
None,
she's
none.
She's like, and the tape rips off, and the tape rips off.
It's the
like
same,
pulling off a Band-Aid.
Maybe it's the same kind of adrenaline you get that, like, when your baby is under a car, you get when you're trying to rip your hands off of nails. When
Maybe
you're
she's
being
got the
shot
same
at.
kind of strength that Leatherface has. So they break
Texan
out.
strength.
So who gets killed? So Mama gets shot.
Yep.
Little girl goes running.
Yep.
Grandpa gets blown to shit.
Well, Grandpa was already dead. we
He's already
determined.
dead, but he's just like blown away.
Yeah.
Tex takes I think he takes one
Yeah, but he doesn't die.
in the shoulder, and then Tank takes one. I think Tank goes down for the count.
I think so.
We don't see Tank anymore.
So Michelle breaks free and jumps out the window.
In true Texas Chainsaw Massacre style, Leatherface chases after her.
Yes. And then we see Viggo and Benny scuffle in the yard,
They have our second action fight in this movie.
but they do it to this like super generic head banging 90s rock music.
Right. So up until this point, we've had
Really generic
generic
horror
horror
movie sounds.
sounds, and then they just decide to switch it to like a rock song.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, you know what would be fun?
No lyrics.
Let's just turn on 97.1 and just whatever song comes up, that's what we'll do."
But Benny gets the upper hand on Tex.
Yep.
And apparently in that fight, Benny, the character playing Benny, actually did break one of Viggo Mortensen's ribs. And you can see it when he falls down because he like clutches his side.
Oh. You know, it's actually really easy to break your ribs.
This is not the last time that Viggo will break something filming a movie. In Lord of the Rings, he kicks a helmet and then like screams out. But the reason he screams out like that is because when he kicked the helmet, he broke his toe.
Oh, fuck.
So the pain that he's pushing through is real.
Oh.
So yeah.
Well, in Eastern Promises, he has that naked fight scene.
Mm-hmm.
He could have injured himself pretty badly there.
Oh man, imagine how many times you'd rack yourself just in that fight alone.
I just feel like
Every slap around.
I just feel like whenever you're moving that much, you need to be secured, like your danglies,
Yeah,
and it just not. There's a lot of flappage.
yeah.
It's just very scary.
As a man, that's pretty terrifying.
As a woman, I am scared for you. Like, don't ever fight naked.
As a man, I appreciate you saying that.
You're welcome.
So Tex is out. Leatherface.
Oh, Tex gets he gets set on fire.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
yes, because this is an action movie,
he gets set on
And-
fucking fire.
and Benny has enough time to pour gasoline on him,
right, and set
pull
him
out
on
a
fire.
lighter, and make a one-liner and throw the lighter at him.
Yeah.
Or set the lighter down on the ground. And then he runs away, and there's an explosion that he has to like jump up out of, so he does the explosion
This is
take.
like full Mission Impossible.
So Leatherface is chasing Michelle. Michelle actually gets like attacked by
No.
Alfredo.
She gets caught in a bear trap, and then she falls into the
swamp.
swamp where they dump all the body parts or whatever.
Yeah.
And did you see that fucking body come up behind her, and then it just bobbed around?
Yeah.
They just left that.
Yeah, the swamp was like a big non-payoff. Like there was all this like tension in the
There
swamp,
could
and
have
then
been
nothing happened.
such a good thing that happened there, like a bad good thing, but they just fucking missed an opportunity.
Yeah.
And Lord knows what they did with this before it was cut to shit. I imagine there was something serious happening in the swamp because of all the shit that they built up. Like I said, I would love to see what they did originally, because there's so much here and they did such a good job with like character development. I think that there something bad happened.
I don't know. I feel like if we saw all the gore, we wouldn't have liked it as much.
I think it would have been that much better. Because think about like Hills Have Eyes, right? Hills Have Eyes, not the original, the remake, is a badass film.
Mm.
And you see everything. And they scare the shit out of you in the daylight. And there's all the characters are fully formed. And so because they didn't flinch and because they didn't turn away from anything and because they showed you all the dimensions of all the characters, that made it really good. And it's gross and it's scary and disgusting, but you still like it. I feel like this could have been that had they not cut it to hell. Leatherface and Benny fall into the swamp.
Benny.
Sorry.
So Leatherface and Benny fall in the swamp, and his chainsaw
Is still running,
Is-
bobbing up and down in the water.
What the fuck? This thing is waterproof? There's no way.
And chainsaws don't continue running once your hand lets go of the handle.
Yeah.
They stop.
Not only that, but Benny, like Leatherface gets a hold of Benny and pushes him against the chainsaw that's floating in the water.
Yeah.
It doesn't move.
Yeah.
It's floating. It's bobbing up and down.
Water is not a solid surface.
It's not like it turned gelatin.
So it would go down.
It just doesn't make any sense.
It would go down with your face.
But Benny dies.
We think.
Michelle gets out and she gets away from Leatherface
She killed him.
and she kills him. I forget how she kills him.
I don't fucking know. I just wrote down that she killed him. Very unceremoniously. This is terrible. This is bad. We have failed.
I think there's something in the fact that I can't remember how he exits this film.
It's just very forgettable. Michelle walks away.
Michelle's it's like the morning after.
Yeah, she's walking down the road.
And the truck from before that she's terrified of pulls up.
Right, the truck from the gas station.
The one that she should be terrified, I should
Right,
say.
makes sense.
But she's like, "Oh no. It's the truck." Opens up and who's there but Benny with a slight gash on his head.
Benny!
So interesting.
It turns out that water chainsaws don't actually work.
It wasn't running all the time. What happened was they did a screening of the film.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine this is after the 11 fucking
This is what
cuts.
happens when you ask too many people opinions of your shit. Your shit is your shit. Either put it out and it does well, or put it out and nobody likes it. But either way, it's yours.
Yeah.
Just fucking do it. Don't
So
group it.
so in the test screening, the audience liked Benny a lot more than they liked Michelle.
Duh.
So they wanted Benny to survive.
Sexist pieces of shit.
So Benny, who clearly was killed in that scene in the water,
Right.
comes back with a slight gash on his head.
Yeah, why not?
We need a final scare. So who should pop out of the back of the truck but Alfredo? Now, mind you, Benny's been driving this truck. He obviously found the truck.
Right.
I'm sure he, as a survivalist, did a sweep of the truck
I don't know.
and
He's got
somehow
that
missed
gash in his
Alfredo
head.
in the back.
He's got that gash in his head. Maybe he's got a concussion.
So Alfredo jumps up, and I think he knocks Benny out, which is not good. This is like a double...
Double concussion.
Yeah, this is not good.
This is how you sustain long-term brain
He
damage.
probably also has some kind of STD at this point.
Oh, from
just-
the swamp?
Just from being... Yeah, the swamp is gross. There is a key moment where Alfredo is throwing body parts in the swamp. He looks back and he goes, "Is a soup yet?" It was a lot funnier than it should have been.
Michelle is inside the truck. She finds a shotgun. She points it at Alfredo, and he says, "You're too stupid to use that," or something like that.
Yeah.
And then she uses it, and she kills him.
She's like, "I don't think so," or something. She pulls her one-liner because it's an action film and shoots him in the face.
This is basically Die Hard.
He doesn't explode. His face does not like rip off its skin. He just kind of jumps backwards and lands down.
He landed in the bed of the truck.
Yeah.
It's not even like he died spectacularly.
He took
Like,
a shotgun blast point blank in the face.
It just has a tiny hole in his face.
Yeah, and so he's just kind of laying there.
If you've seen Preacher, you know what happens. And it's not pretty.
She helps Benny up because Benny's still alive. They
Right?
get in the trunk. Also, again, what was the point of Benny coming back if she's just got to help him off the ground seconds later?
Well, he delivered the truck, and
Ugh.
people liked him more.
So they get in the truck and they drive off with this dead body in the back of the truck,
Yeah.
which I feel like will be a problem for them the next time that a cop sees them.
Why?
But that's the end of this film.
No, it's not. Because as they're driving away,
Squeaky,
fucking
squeaky.
Leatherface
Squeaky,
steps into
squeaky.
the frame.
Only his leg, though.
But with the brace and with the edge of his chainsaw. So, like, he's very much still alive.
And if I'm correct and he is Forrest Gump, he could literally run after them and catch them.
For days.
He would catch them if he ran after them.
If he just decided to start running.
How scary is this film?
It's not.
No, it's like watching an action film.
I have to say, I'm gonna say this. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Hit me with it.
This is not a critique on you. But I'm just gonna say I'm disappointed. Because thus far, I've not been scared. And I don't like horror movies.
So you're saying the Texas Chainsaw Massacre does not live up to the hype?
No, it doesn't. So I am challenging you right now to come up with a film that will actually scare me, because you got nothing so far.
Well, I will say that what you're going through right now is the same thing that I went through when I was 16 years old.
Puberty?
No, you haven't gone through that yet. I haven't gone through that yet.
Not yet. I've had 2 kids, no puberty.
I haven't gone through puberty yet.
Which is why your voice is so high pitched.
The reason I love horror films is because when I was a kid, I was not allowed to even think about them. They were something that were off limits. But our local Walmart had a wireframe video store right in the center of it. So it was like you could just see in there and you could see everything. So every time I pass it, I would see the box art for Child's Play. And I would imagine what that movie was. And in my head, it was 6 times more terrifying than the movie is. And every single movie in there, I would make a story for, and I would have this like vision of how terrifying it would be. So when I actually got around to about 16, I would go rent all these movies, and we would do like, movie nights, and I'd have the 7 for 7, and I'd rent them all, and I was always disappointed with the actual film.
Yeah.
Because the films I had in my head were always much scarier.
Yeah.
So you're experiencing what I experienced then, which is where you've built it up so much in your head as a terrifying thing that when you actually see the final product, it's like, eh.
Well, I will agree with you to a certain extent on that, but I have seen movies that actually scare me, like that actually like really fuck me up, like that Japanese movie that we watched about the dumplings. Like, I still can't eat dumplings. Like, I've seen things that really do truly terrify me, but none of this stuff has.
There are movies that I have not put on a list. I'll put it that way. We could go down that path, but it would be a fucked up journey. I'm not sure if I'm ready for that. I really just want to knock these films out because I love these films.
Okay. I mean, I am disappointed. I'm just going to say that.
I'm sorry. I can't always please you.
I mean, you do try really hard.
And I always fail.
That's not true.
Always.
That's not true.
100% of the time.
You're a good person.
But a really quick lay.
Yeah, that's true. But sometimes that's good. Because you just want to go to bed.
That's right. I don't keep you up late. That is a good point. I have not looked at it that way. The cup is always half full.
You know me. I require a certain amount of sleep.
Of semen.
Ew. Well, sometimes it is, yeah. Sometimes people keep cups of semen in turkey basters to inseminate girls that they
With little
kidnapped.
hairs in them.
We know people that do
Shout
this.
out to episode 1.
Yeah, if you're looking for a good one.
Where were we?
The
How gory is this film?
It's not.
It's sanitized.
They turn away from everything.
11 cuts. You're not left with anything.
I really, really want to see what it was before they cut it.
Well, there is an unrated on the other side of that disc, so maybe
we should have watched that.
but we're not going to go back. My hashtag never go back. Bechdel test. I think it passes.
On what pretense?
The mom talks to the kid.
About what?
They're just talking.
That's real thin. Because it's literally like one 20-second scene. But maybe, technically.
I mean, Mama was a very strong character in this.
For like 10 minutes, yeah.
And then she died.
Right.
The daughter was also a very strong character in this.
Was she?
She stabs her with a bone.
Oh, you mean strong as in like she killed people?
I mean strong as in she held her own in a film about the Sawyer family, which is usually men. Like, it's not like the women feel out of place. They fit right in.
I am disappointed with the fact that this one got rapey for a minute.
Yeah.
Like, that's one thing that, well, the second
Especially
one,
since they have Mama in the house. Like, what the fuck?
right. And
Mama would be very disappointed.
She was the one pushing it. You know, saying that Junior knew what to do with them sex parts.
Yeah, that's right. She does say
Like, that's not something that a mother should say about her son.
that. Any other thoughts?
Listen, anytime Viggo Mortensen is in anything, I'm there for it. All the time. I like him. But except Lord of the Rings, I really don't care for it. But that's just me.
It's also very long. Funny story, though. Peter Jackson directed Lord of the Rings. Peter Jackson was actually offered this movie as his first directorial thing in America.
Yeah?
So anything else to say about this movie?
No. It was fine. It was good. I enjoyed it. I'm enjoying this series a lot more than Hellraiser. And I feel like we have a lot more films still.
We have a lot more to go, yeah.
Thank you to Brandon Tuzio for our intro and outro music. And if you'd like to find us on any of the social media platforms, you can find us at
Scaredy Cat Pod.
Or
Scaredy Cat Pod. Scaredy Cat Pod.
There you go.
On all the Facebooks and all the Instagrams and all the Twitters.
For all of your multiple accounts.
If you like what you hear, and you know you do,
Even if you don't.
review us on whatever app you're using, or if it's iTunes, great.
And don't forget to subscribe so that you can hear us every week in your beautiful ear holes.
So that's it for this week. Until next time, adios muchachos.
Bye!